Hello, everybody. Okay.
Cool.
So, hello,
Hi.
everybody. Namaste, everyone. And
Namaste.
hey, Lisa.
Hi, Sundar.
Yeah, so we're on again on Wednesday. This week, we're talking about cultural dogmas. So, the last week when we were talking, this came up in conversation about how there are some silly things that we still hang on to. Some people have developed tradition or wrong ideas, or sometimes specific examples were given at a specific moment, and then it was taken on over generations and generations later, and then it's become something really silly. But some things actually do make sense, but we just don't know the science behind it, right? So,
Yeah.
we thought it'd be really fun to bring up some of these things that, Lisa and I are really familiar with in Malaysia, at least. So, and if you guys are watching, you guys have some of your own, please share in the comments, and then, we'll talk about this too, okay? And those of you on Zoom, if you wanna share your experience, just let us know. We'll bring you on as well.
Yeah, I think that is very interesting. This topic is very interesting because this has been a practice since many years. Yeah, and when we are young, we just told to practice it without asking questions. But as me, I'm always curious all the time. So I will always ask, why are we practicing this? Why are we practicing that? Yeah. But I'm told to just practice it without asking. So right now, I think the most interesting thing is because we are learning about energy and all that. So that would give us some answers to certain practices why we practice it. Like last week, I think we were talking about the Chinese culture during the Chinese New Year. Yeah, not to wash your hair after 12, after I think New Year Eve. Yeah, 12 o'clock. By 12, everything had got to be done. You have to shower, wash your hair, clean the whole house, everything, neat and all that. And that we know now that it is because of energetic or the energy downpour that we get, yeah, during the Chinese New Year, because I think during that time the energy is tremendous, right? And
Yeah.
also the practices of being clean, being the household to have joy, to have happiness, to have laughters and all that is because the prosperity deities attracted to vibration that is high. Yeah, that's why it's being practiced that way. But there are so many, when I was Googling, right? There are so many practices out there. Some of them is just based on superstitions. It's just based on, some of them I think there are links, like energetic links to it. There are also safety because of that, for safety reason. There are also symbolic, just a symbolic, like Chinese, there are certain words that they practice because of prosperity, like
Yeah.
pineapple. In Chinese, in Hokkien, pineapple is called ong. Ong means prosperity.
Oh, wow. I never knew this. Okay.
Yeah. So if you see Chinese houses, they have a lot of pineapples around. I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
one
I
here
have.
too.
I have actually. It's in gold as well, right? It's always used
Yes,
like in a gold.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. I think
I
I
have
have
seen this.
one
I have
here.
seen this.
Bring that for me.
Yeah. So actually,
Yeah.
that was.
I just wanted to show I have one here too.
Yeah, yeah. If you can. Yeah, I see it. I see it.
See, this is pineapple. So yeah, these are certain practices that has been carried, yeah, on for many years. And actually we didn't know what it was. We just follow. Yeah. So this
But
is
now,
one of
but now
it.
we know.
Yeah, exactly. There's another one that I think many of the Chinese would know. We not to write their name in red. Yeah, have you heard this?
No, actually, actually, I have heard this, but I don't know why.
Mm.
I've heard this many times, but I don't know why actually.
Yeah, I asked this question just now also with my husband Stephen just now. I asked him, do you know why we do not, we are not allowed to write our name in red? He said, no, I don't. I said, do you write your name in red? No, I don't. So it's just that we are not supposed to do that. Why? You know, and I googled the reason, and I find it very interesting because it says that the red ink is used to mark the names of criminals
In the
that are
past,
condemned
right?
to death, yeah, for death sentence, in the
Right.
official records. So then this is also the red is also used to write their name in such, and that's supposed to be their names on their tombstone as well. So that's why they say
Oh,
it's not
wow.
auspicious to write your name in red. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
And then
second
this has
reason
just been
also.
carried on, right?
Yes,
What's
correct.
another reason?
The second reason is they said red ink conveys bad news, as in they write it in red to tell someone that somebody has passed away, or you write in red in breakup,
Yeah.
in breakup letters. So I didn't know
Actually, this
that
is true.
also.
This is true even today, actually.
Oh
If
yeah.
yeah, because a lot of places where if they want to draw your attention, a lot of official documentation is in black and white. If they want to draw your attention to certain things, they'll highlight it or they'll write it
In
in red.
red,
And
right?
and even like for bills, right? If you're overdue on payments, if you're being evicted, or all the bad news, basically it also comes in a red sheet. It always comes in red.
Exactly. Yeah,
In
that I
fact,
think, yeah.
yeah, even in Interpol, it's called the red notice. It's called a red note. It's called everything. Your third warning letter in a company always comes in red. you know?
Yeah, that's also a third reason. It says that it symbolizes protest or criticism.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's why we do not, practice in writing our name in red.
Yeah,
So I
actually,
got
I
my
didn't think
answer
about
now.
this before this. Yeah, I didn't think about it before this, but now that you said it, it triggered some memories, and I was like, oh, actually, all the bad things come in red. Like not all, not all. Ang paos are red too, and ang paos is a
Yeah.
good news.
That's funny, isn't it? Ang pao is red. In Chinese New Year, they ask you to wear red. I mean, we are encouraged to wear red for prosperity, but not to write in red. That is
Yeah, yeah.
contradicting. I mean, that's
Actually,
two
so
different
in
things.
energy techniques,
Yes.
yeah, in energy technique in pranic healing, the color red actually is a very energetic color. Even this is just, it's not really even to do with energy healing. It's just science. If you see the color of the rainbow, right?
Right.
When light goes through a prism or it gets diffracted, it gets
Mm-hmm.
split into a few colors, 7 colors.
Yeah.
And red is always on the furthest end because it's the most energetic color. It has the most amount of energy, right?
Right.
So,
That's cool.
if you just understand a little bit of science, even in light, red is a very energetic color. There's a lot of functions for this, right? In a lot of esoteric studies, in spiritual teachings, or even in Chinese New Year, the ang paos, we use red because it's very energetic. So you're giving money with energy, and you're hoping that it grows. It's becoming prosperous, right? And
Right.
but it also draws a lot of attention. So if you were to serve a notice, I guess, and you wanted to draw someone's attention, even a lady wearing a red dress, it really, everyone just kind of turns around. Red's a very attractive color, right? It has that quality. So I
Yeah,
guess,
I used to like to wear red last time.
yeah. So I guess
Yeah.
when someone's delivering a notice and they wanted your attention, they would write it in red, just to pull the eyeball, sort of thing.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. At least we got an answer. There is so many. I think all this practice that has been practiced over the years. The Chinese, I'm not sure on how's your culture, but for the Chinese, I tell you there are loads and loads and loads of it. Okay. I was like picking up, like, should I give this example, or should I give this example, or should I give,
So
oh my
many,
God,
so
there's so
many.
many, I do not know what to choose, you know. I remember that my mom used to tell us not to clip our nails, our fingernails or our toenails at night. Yeah.
Same in Indian culture, yes.
Ah, okay. Did your mom tell you why?
Uh, well, she said that God, it would dirty the house and God wouldn't come.
Ah, okay. My mom told me that, it will attract the ghosts.
Similar
I mean,
line of
similar
reasoning.
something. Yeah. But I think it is actually just for safety because during the olden days they do not have electricity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just to prevent mishap or cutting yourself. So they said do not clip your nails or your toenails or your fingernails at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But maybe
I think it's true.
yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that were carried forward from previous generations until now. It may have made sense during that period of time, but then if you like bring it forward a few generations, it may no longer make sense anymore.
Right. Yes. And oh yeah, the
Yeah.
interesting one. Remember, Sundar, just now I was telling you about drawing on the face when
Yes,
someone
tell
is
me about it.
asleep. Yeah. So this was when I was young. Mom told me. I said, do not draw on the face, okay, when you're sleeping. I said, why? Is it because the soul does not recognize the body when it comes back to the body? When it's supposed to be like when you're sleeping, your soul, I think, is traveling, shopping, or wherever it has gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
she says that don't draw because it will not recognize the body and then it will not be able to come back. So I'm not sure what's the explanation to this. Maybe do you know why so?
Well, we know this is not true because one of the most common pranks for teenagers is drawing on the face.
Exactly.
And we know like the parents always wake up anyway, right? so,
right.
So I think but I think in some maybe other ways of drawing on the body is like tattooing. And because tattooing is you're actually changing the physical appearance of the body, it also has an energetic counterpart, right? So, certain words have vibrations. So if you're tattooing like a picture or a word that gives you that rises up certain emotions in your body, imagine now you're looking at it every day for the rest of your life and it's going to change your energy. You're going to become this, So if, for example, you had the word like love tattooed on your wrist, right? And then you saw this every day. You're going to see love in everything that you do. You're going to be reminded to be loving. It's going to change your emotions. It's going to change your way of thinking, right? So, and similarly, if you tattooed something negative on your body, maybe people would have that negative emotion would change your behavior as well because you're looking at it every day. So it also if you know some healing techniques, you can always remove these negative emotions, but imagine it's something that you're looking at every day. I don't know if a marker pen has the same effect, but tattooing it's quite permanent. So maybe tattooing there is some sense to this, but marker pen can be washed off.
I think it's just to prevent the kids from drawing on the parents face when they are asleep. Naughty kids who like to draw. Imagine if you tattoo your ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend name onto yourself. Oh my God, you've been living with that for many years. So the next boyfriend or girlfriend, you better find the same name.
you have like a list of names on your chest, like first one, second one.
Oh my God. I don't want that. It looks so odd. Yeah. Anyway, these are some of the practices. Yeah. I remember another one is my mom said, always receive things with your right hand, never with your left hand. Yeah.
Same in Indian culture, yes.
Okay. Any reason why? For Indian culture?
So this one, this one wasn't explained to me, but I thought it made sense in the way we lived our lives. Because in Asia, when we go to the toilet, we still have to we still use the bidet, we still wash ourselves, and you don't want to, and we eat with our hands as well, right? So you don't want to interchange these hands. You want to eat with your right and wash with your left. So at least you keep them apart. If you didn't know how to wash yourself properly, at least you don't mix up the two, you know.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
the
thought,
same.
yeah, so I thought for that reason, okay, in the past, you still use your hands for a lot of things. Maybe you might want to separate them for, dirty work. You use the one hand, and the clean work, you use the other hand.
Yeah, it's hilarious, yeah, when young time, right? My mom said, because sometimes I would just, if my right hand is holding something, I would just bring my left hand and put my hand out. She said, "No, I'm not going to give you. Use the other hand." I said, "But the hand is holding in the other hand, Yeah. And there is another one. I'm not sure whether it's also the same with the Indian culture. When we take the Chinese noodles, they say to not cut it because the noodles represent longevity.
Yes, yes, I heard this. I heard this before.
Yeah. So if you cut it, means you are cutting the longevity of your life. Well, I guess that is a little bit superstitious.
I think so too.
I can't connect it with any energetic safety or what does it mean? If you cut a noodle when you eat it, you're biting the noodles anyway, so it goes into your stomach. It's already cut.
Right? It's going to be broken down inside.
Yeah,
anyway.
broken down and digested. So yeah, there are certain superstitious belief that has been carried on and all that. And there are genuine practices where it is actually for safety. It is actually for understanding the energetic reason for it. Yeah. So I guess we just have to practice our discernment when we practice these practices, just to make sense with things, why certain things is being done. In that way, it's just the same, because since young I've been asking questions, and that's one thing I love about pranic healing, because when
there's a lot of energy techniques and explanation.
There a lot of explanation, and Grandmaster always emphasized that don't just believe him. You have to try. You have to experience it and make your own conclusion to many things. It's the same thing here. I feel that practices are there. Okay, it's for us to have our discernment. To understand why certain practices are being practiced, and the good ones we carry on.
And Master Tra also, he didn't just teach it, he also helped us get the experience. So I remember in the basic workshop, one of the first things we learned is how to see energy, like how to see energy in the air, how to see energy in the trees, in the ground, in your body, right? So coming back to the topic about just now, we were talking about like tattooing and stuff, living negative emotions, possibly, some people could actually see energy, and these people are clairvoyants. Today, a lot more clairvoyance than in the past, because humanity is evolving. So it reminds me of one story, which was why someone had to come up with an example, which was in the Bible, in Genesis, I think, about King Solomon. So there was this story, right, where there were two mothers who had given birth in the village at relatively the same time. And one of the mothers had experienced the death of her child, who was still a baby. Child had died. So the other mother, still had her living baby. One day in the middle of the night, the mother who had lost her child had stolen the baby and claimed it was hers. So come morning, there's been a lot of argument, a lot of fighting, a lot of, who is the real mother? How do you know? Because the baby is not yet developed. It has no features. You can't really tell, right? So who is the real mother of the baby? And it had become such a big issue. It was brought to court. It was brought in front of the king. And King Solomon, being highly clairvoyant, he could see the energetic bond between the baby and the mother, right? So he could have just as easily said, okay, this is the real mother, this is the mother of the living child, and that is the mother of the deceased child, right? He could have just said that and proceeded with the ruling, end of topic. But that would not bring him a lot of, it would not help the people understand why he made the decision in such a way. How did you come to this conclusion?
Right.
So, what he did was something, even though he knew the answer, he could not say, just believe me based on my authority. What he did was really clever. He said, okay, since we cannot decide, we cannot come to an agreement on who the real mother is, we are going to cut the baby in half and each mother will take half child. Right?
Serious? Oh my God.
Right. So immediately, what is the reaction, right? Because the mother of the deceased child has nothing to lose, she would say, okay. But the real mother of the living child, she would say, no, I rather let the child live and go to the other person. She would not agree to this, right? Because she knows that, I rather the child live than lose the child. That's the true love of a mother, right? And everybody can relate to this. The mother who had lost the child already, she would be like, well, I lost one, this one's not mine anyway. So by giving this ruling, immediately the real mother was revealed and everybody could relate to the process, even though the king, who was highly clairvoyant, already knew. But if you thought about it, right, slicing a baby in half is not a way to make a ruling about whose child is it. But in that moment, it made sense and everybody could relate to it, So this was one example that I used to think about, someone who was highly clairvoyant. Instead of saying, just believe me that I'm a clairvoyant and using my abilities, how do you come to a conclusion that, even a non-clairvoyant who could not see energy, who could not relate to energy, how could they also understand this? So coming to today, sometimes certain things people say, like, don't draw on the face or don't tattoo your body. They say, oh, the devil might come, or, there is bad luck. Sometimes it's because they could not explain energy. They could not explain that, hey, I can see things that I cannot explain because you can't see it. I can't explain it to you, right? So they had to find other ways. Unfortunately, some of these explanations are not very in-depth, not as good as King Solomon. So over time, it gets misconstrued as, oh, this doesn't make sense. It's just superstition. And oh my God, so many things have happened, right?
Right.
And, I was sharing with you earlier one story as well. Like, in the Indian tradition, the cow is a very sacred animal. Because of all the things it provides, and sometimes it's even referred to as like a mother, right?
Right.
And the cow is also very intelligent mammal. So in India, especially of all countries in the world, in India, the cow is very, very protected. There are laws to protect the cow as well. So much so that over time, over many generations, people have lost the meaning of sacredness and why the cow is sacred, that they would believe anything to do with the cow is holy, right? Mm-hmm. So up till spraying the cow's urine around and, even the cow dung is auspicious. I remember there was a very popular video, this one. There's a very popular video circulating on social media about this village in India where the people believe that to avoid the coronavirus, you should get the blessings of the cow through its urine and its dung. So they actually made a pool where you could dip yourself in cow dung and cow urine, and they believe this would protect them against coronavirus. Now, scientifically, this has no basis. It's taken off on an off tangent already.
I think when you're desperate, when we are desperate, you don't really think anymore. You just believe. You just want, to do things. Okay, people say this, you just follow. The clarity is no longer there because you're so desperate, right? To stay away from COVID and all that. So Yeah, I think that is very funny. I can't imagine myself doing that, of course. Dunking yourself into the cow. Oh my God, the pool. Oh, I can't imagine that. Anyway, there is a message here in Zoom. Stephen posted saying that walking under a ladder is also bad luck. Breaking a mirror will give you a 7-year bad luck. Yeah. Energetically, do you think there is
I think this is also
explanation
very
to that?
common superstition. Yeah.
But I think walking under the ladder is because they would just want to prevent you from walking under the ladder in case the person falls or the ladder falls, isn't it?
Yeah, like a lot of things could happen, right? It's not,
Yeah.
we know ladders are not very sound foundation. They're good temporarily, but not for long term.
Yeah.
You know,
All right.
nowadays they're really smart with ladders. It comes with locks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's meant to be easily moved, right? So you could very easily undo the locks. And I guess, for that reason, maybe, but also there is another reason actually. In Feng Shui, in pranic Feng Shui, we learn about how chi or energy flows throughout the house, throughout the environment. And, I can't share too much about this.
Right.
You should take the course. But, one of the things that it says is that, and this is just physics, right? If you understand like how water flows through a pipe, if you narrow the pipe, the water would have to flow a lot faster to have the same volume. So if you have a big pipe, just very slow movement of water, you can generate a lot of volume. But a small pipe, you need very fast movement of water, right? So in the same way, when you have a ladder, you've kind of narrowed the area for the energy to flow in the house or, just in that particular spot. And then if you're under a ladder, you might feel very pressured from the energy if you stayed under there for a long time. So, but it doesn't only apply to ladders, it applies to any small space. And, when you're in a small space, you can really feel, even with houses today, you can see that, there's a premium on houses with very high ceilings because it's more cooling, there's more flow of air and stuff. Very similar explanation to energy. So when you confine yourself under a small space, you feel very pressured. And, this is one reason for the ladder. The mirror, I don't know. The mirror, 7 years bad. Like
it's just asking you to be careful when you're holding a mirror, maybe.
Yeah. Because by nature, mirrors are really fragile. They break all the time, man.
Right. When if you break one, then you'll be screaming, "Oh my God, I'm gonna have 7 years bad luck." Oh, it is like I think I've broke it once or twice.
And you're still alive.
Like what, 14 years bad luck? No. I'm still alive, right? I'm still here. Yeah, that is so hilarious. There is so many practices. I don't know. Maybe Indian cultures. Do you have some examples that you could give us?
So one thing we were talking about last time as well was when we go for when it comes time for Deepavali. So Deepavali is not actually the Indian New Year, but it's a time where good triumphed over evil, and it's widely celebrated as the turn of new things. So symbolically, the story says good over evil. Right. One thing we do during Deepavali is we always have a big celebration, of course, and then it's always like wear new clothes, right? There's always this, clean the house. You have to clean the house. You have to wear new clothes. Even if it's just even if you can't afford it, just one piece of clothing, right? You don't have to get a full attire. At least just one piece, get it new for that day. Right. And, I used to wonder, like, what's the difference, right? Then tomorrow, tomorrow it's considered an old piece of clothing because you've worn it already.
I guess it's symbolic, something new. Yeah.
Yes. It's actually symbolic. It's to, it's more the journey of the soul, I guess. And, come the new year, or I think in some cultures they also believe this: New Year, new clothes. Come the New Year or come Deepavali, what we want to do is like how good triumph over evil in the stories. We also want to do similar things for ourselves, where we say that let me be done with all the negative thoughts, negative ideas of the past, and now things are changing. Let the good in me prevail, right? So good words, good thoughts, good actions, and sometimes when we have new clothes, it's a new opportunity to say that, okay, I'm a new person now, and I think this also kind of it actually, I'm just thinking about my life at the moment. Ever since I've entered pranic healing, every year I've seen a certain upgrade in my apparel, in my clothing, in my dressing, which I didn't plan for, right? I felt like doing it, and then I felt this makes sense, so I'll do it. When I first came, my first year, I remember in pranic healing, because I used to work in a seafood farm. So I used to wear shorts and t-shirt all the time because we get in and out of the water. So we have to wear boots, shorts, and this was uniform. This is how
that's
I
so
go to
cool.
work.
I would like to see you. You have any picture on that?
Next time.
Phua Chu Kang boots, right? With shorts.
So I remember this. Yeah. And you don't wear like nice shorts, right? You wear these baggy shorts because they're going to get really dirty in the mud when you're working on the farm. And it's meant to be utility, so you have big pockets and stuff. It doesn't look very pretty at all. It's not something you wear walking around. So, but my first year in pranic healing, this was my entire attire, right? This is what I wore all the time. I used to wear slippers, shorts, and t-shirts. And my second year in pranic healing, just naturally, right? I started wearing jeans. I started wearing jeans and shoes. Sometimes I still wear slippers, but I started wearing jeans and shoes with my t-shirt. So you can see like a slight upgrade in my appearance already, where I would wear long pants. And my third year in pranic healing, I realized that as I was seeing more clients, I wanted them to take me a bit more seriously. So I started wearing like a polo shirt. So, I was still very reluctant. So I started wearing polo shirts and trousers. So you can see the appearance upgraded a little bit more. My fourth year in pranic healing, which was last year, I started wearing suits. So I started wearing t-shirts, I started wearing jackets and suits. And I noticed like, even when I present myself, I'm very professional. Just the way I am, when I wear proper clothes, I also tell myself like, I'm going to meet a client. I'm going to take their time seriously. I'm going to take their problems seriously. And I want them to know that I'm fully invested in here. I'm not just coming out of the shower, just put on whatever I found and just like, walking over to your house. You might even have certain ideas about how professional I am, right? So, I started noticing as my thoughts started to change, as my emotions started to change, my appearance also started to change. And just coincidentally, it happened to be every year, So I don't know what's next after this. What happens next year? How would my appearance change anymore? Maybe I start wearing ties. I don't know.
This brings back a memory, as you were saying about your clothing, right, Sundar? My mom used to tell us never ever wear torn clothes when you go out. I don't know whether that is a practice in a culture or it's just my mom. Yeah.
I think even today, if you saw somebody in torn clothes, you might think they need a handout or.
Yeah. But
I mean, it's not that expensive, right? It's really not that expensive to buy a new shirt. Even in Malaysia today, you could find a really good one for 10 ringgit, like a polo shirt. You could find a good one for 10 ringgit. Yeah.
Because of appearance, people see you, the first impression. I guess that's what my mom meant. Yeah. She never explained, but I guess that is what she meant. Your first appearance or when you go out, your appearance is very important on how people look at you. So these are things that I have carried on. And now my kids, I would tell them, wear a nice t-shirt, a proper t-shirt or pants or something that is presentable. Yeah, iron your clothes. So that, these are all carried on since my mom taught me in that way. So this carried on to my kids as well. So yeah, this is one culture. I think it is good to practice. Is appearance that is a first impression that people have on you, which is, I think, is a good practice.
And
yeah.
And actually, it's not that uncommon. If we don't think about the new year, new clothes, if we just think about preparing yourself, like you said, right? Presentation, preparing yourself. Actually, this is done on every level. If you want to be a successful person, every successful person does this. Before a meeting, you start rehearsing, you start talking about, you start preparing for the meeting. You go in there prepared, you have your facts, you have your numbers, and even your emotions are in check. You're not trying to you're not like putting in negative emotions from your lunch or your dinner or previous arguments. You're getting yourself in the right space emotionally, mentally. And even when you dress appropriately, you feel physically, I'm ready to go in for this meeting. It's going to be a really wonderful, even presidents do this all the time. They have aides that talk to them, that advise them and prepare them for the meetings. It's actually, when you wear certain clothes and you prepare yourself as well, I think that it's just, in one way, it can be symbolic as well. The physical appearance is just the beginning of it. You also want to prepare yourself emotionally and mentally for whatever you're going to face,
Yeah, I think that gives you the energetic shift, when you dress up and when you present yourself well. You kind of have that the Chinese will say that you walk with a wind, with a wind behind you, it's like, wow, you are really going out for it and all. Yeah, there is a message here which I find very interesting. Sundar, maybe you can take this question. What about people wearing pyramid hat? Will it make them smarter? It says here, I heard that you put an apple under the pyramid doesn't go bad. Means if you put an apple under the pyramid, the apple will stay good. I think that one, there is an answer to it, right? Energetically. Yes.
Actually, both of them have significance. The science of the pyramid is quite widely studied. So whatever size pyramid doesn't really matter. If you have a small one, maybe something like this, and you put an apple underneath, it would keep the energy somewhat preventing the apple from deteriorating so fast. It will still deteriorate, just a lot slower, right? Because energy, if you think about energy, right, it's not some magic thing. It still obeys the laws of physics. That's why it's called metaphysics, right? It cannot magically do stuff. Okay, there is a science to it. So the science is that, just the same way as the best way to imagine this in the physical reality is if you think the way electricity behaves, if you think the way water behaves, if you think about the way air behaves, fluids, right? It's the same way energy behaves, just on an energetic plane, on an etheric plane, right? But they still obey the laws of physics. So when you look at the shape of the pyramid, and if you were to have like electricity running through it, it would run in a very specific direction, and it would concentrate on a certain point, right? So you would have the base of the pyramid where the energy collects, and it would focus it. This is actually how lasers work, right? In the construction industry, in the physics and scientific community, this is how lasers work. You collect energy from a big source, and then you focus it on a certain point, allowing the energy to concentrate itself. So now what happens if you put an object inside a pyramid, right? What happens is that all this energy that would otherwise sit inside the apple is now being channeled around the apple and going off to a different direction. So like this one is pointing to the ceiling, So all that energy is actually being collected and being pointed to the ceiling. Now, of course, different materials have different conductivity. So if you were making a pyramid out of wood, it would be less effective. If you're making a pyramid out of stone, maybe not so effective. If you made a pyramid out of metal, very conductive, right? So if you you can notice this as well. If you put an apple inside a certain container of different shapes, you would notice the effect it would have on that apple. And this experiment can be repeated anywhere in the world, across any time, night, day, doesn't matter. It always works, right? The energy that would otherwise go into the apple and start to the process of deterioration would now get channeled around the apple and just get pointed away in a different direction. So in this way, the apple gets preserved a little bit longer. So now, in the same way, wearing a pyramid hat on your head, you know, okay. So this one, yeah, I think we have to understand how it works. It does work. It does work. Okay, so also it depends on the material you're using. So, in a lot of conspiracy theory, they say the tinfoil hat, right? And then, oh, well, there's a lot of confusion about this. Okay, so actually how it works is that our body, so we're talking about different layers of energy. In pranic healing, we discuss this a bit deeper, where you have the physical body and energy, and the subtle energy divided into many parts. You have your etheric body, you have emotional body, you have mental body, you have spiritual body, right? So again, energy is not magical. It travels through a certain channel or a certain cord, right? So on top of your head, there is a spiritual cord that links you to your higher self. Okay, and this is why during prayer, a lot of people put their hands on their heart like this to channel the energy upward, or you put your hands on your crown like this, to focus the energy. When we talk about energy, ultimately, where does it come from, right? It doesn't get generated in our bodies. It comes from the air, the sun, the earth. And if you go higher than that, there is also a creator, right? And you're connected to this through that spiritual cord. So imagine if you could focus the energy that, let's say, if you're super receptive, super conductive to, to the creator or to your higher self, and you wanted to enhance this connection, the best way is to, put like a little focusing beam. So you can put your hands like this, or, and that would be very tiring after some time.
You walk around with your hand like this.
Yeah. So, and it would look very funny as well.
Yeah, you look funny.
Yeah. But actually, there is a certain, if you wanted to connect it, to connect to the teachings on higher levels, on spiritual levels, right? And this is very common. It's not something that, we're discussing today. But if you saw what Albert Einstein did, if you saw like during the space race, what the Germans were doing, they were actually doing this. They were sitting inside of a big pyramid, because it would help them. And if you ask them, I saw these interviews as well, where if you ask them, where did you get the inspiration to build these things, like the certain objects or certain bells, because the information was not available at that time. So how did these people, highly intellectual, highly advanced, how did they know to build these things, and where did they get the plans from? When you talk to them, they would just say up above, or they would just say like, and most people mistaken this for aliens. Right?
Oh, because it's up above, all right.
Because they could not explain it, that there were different levels of energy. I mean, imagine this was in the 1800s. It's a lot more difficult to explain. Today, we have equipment, we have science, we can explain this a lot better. And we can even detect this now. So if you saw this higher energies, but they're very subtle, right? Higher energies are very, very subtle. If you want to bring them down, you really have to be super still, really aware and really calm. So a lot of people do this in their meditation, right? So if you're meditating inside a pyramid, you would notice that the effect is so different, right? Because the energy is fully concentrated, it comes down, your connection is enhanced as well, and you're able to have a much more mystical spiritual experience. A lot of people believe in the science of the pyramid, right? So if you wanted to study a little bit better and have some guidance from your higher self, which is a lot smarter, a lot more intelligent than the lower self, and you could connect a lot better, that. So if you understood what you're doing, then yes, all these things work. If you don't understand what you're doing, you're just going to look like a joke. You know?
I would tell Siwan not to wear a pointed hat wherever he goes, please. Yeah, I
This
think
would be
that's very,
really
very
fun.
good explanation, Sundar. I think that information I learned a lot too from there. I didn't know that the reason of this, why we pray and we put our hands together. One, I know that it activates the heart because the thumb touches the heart chakra, that activates the heart. But right now, you're saying that when it points up, that's interesting because that is something that I do not know. So that is very good information.
Because even there's a lot of energy points in the body. So at the tips of the fingers as well, we have certain minor energy points. So what you're doing is that when you touch your heart, you activate your heart, and then you're also channeling this energy. You're directing it upwards, you know, because you're sincerely asking for blessings of the higher beings to help. And you know, when you send your energy, when you send more energy to talk to them, like you're opening the channel. You know, it's like you know, like we can use the example of Wi-Fi. If you have a very slow connection, you know, there'll be a lot of interruption and the phone line is not very clear. You can't really hear the person. But if you had a bigger connection, suddenly the video is a lot smoother. You know, you can see Liza, you can see myself a lot more clearly in HD, right? So that's what you're doing. You're putting your hands together. You're trying to open up that channel a bit bigger so that you get HD, you get HD information.
Right. Yeah, I think Sundar, I think that is a very good sharing. Many of us do not know usually, even including myself, certain practices that we do, why we do it. Yeah. So we are getting our answers little by little, bits by bits now. I'm getting my answer bits by bits now, you know, studying about energy, studying about healing, studying about a lot of things. Even we have our esoteric studies. Yeah, we have that every week. Studying about the theosophy and all that. Yeah, those studies do open up a lot of knowledge and a lot of how you say it. It gives us a lot of answers to our questions. Yeah, and I find that very interesting. Yeah. Is the line lagging, Sundar? Can you hear me? Sundar, can you hear me? I think the line is lagging.
Sorry, Lisa.
Can you hear
I
me?
think yes, I can hear you now. I think we lost you for a little while there, you know, but you're good now.
Okay, cool. I didn't know where I stopped just now, but I think our time is running out. Maybe shall we continue next week? Yeah. Next week we will
I think this is a really fun topic. Yeah.
Yeah, next week we will not be doing live because I have a vaccination. Yeah, but we will do a recording and share with everyone. Cool?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think my line is lagging.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
So sorry. The line is lagging.
Yeah, so if you guys missed that, I'll just say that again. Next week, you know, Lisa's getting a vaccination, so you know the timing might be interrupted a little bit. What we'll do is we will still collect your comments, and we'll make a session on Tuesday, and then we'll still publish the recording on Wednesday next week. So you know, you guys still can tune in at the same time, but it'll just be a recorded version, and we'll continue this topic. Looking forward to see more and hear more from you guys. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.